Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Brendan. I'm here with John.
Hey, hey, what kind of concert? You know of a concert that costs 45 cents? It's
Nope.
a 50-cent concert with Nickelback. Anyway,
Thank you.
a lot of people won't even get that. Like
Yeah,
younger
I thought about
younger
that
viewers
too.
won't
I'm
even
like,
won't even who the I was showing a bunch of I was showing a video uh of Moulin Rouge, the musical from like 2001,
yeah.
which is based on a well, it was based
I
on a
remember
story that I
seeing
don't know
that when I
about.
was like 18 with my
Well,
girlfriend or whatever.
yeah, well, it's got like God, it's got like Beck and um, Elton John and David Bowie and like a whole bunch of people that everybody knows. And I was showing this movie to this younger person, and not one name rang a bell, and I felt old.
That's
And
right.
also just like, how could you not know? Like Elton John was like in my parents' world. He was before my time. He was
Yeah.
still playing when I was a kid, but you know.
I think that's a common phenomenon. Like, I don't know if I sent you this, but the thing where it's like, kids these days, they don't know, blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but somebody sent something where it's like they went back in historical records and found times when the older generation was like, God, these fucking kids. And then you go back to like the early 1900s. These kids these days, they don't know. They're going to be. And then you
Mm,
go back to the 1800s, go back even further to like Roman, like it goes back and back. They get to Roman times. Like,
yeah,
I
but
think
I got
every
I have a
successive generation
I have a
grows up.
theory about that. I'll bet that's only partially true. I'll bet that that's true in times when the change in a society is accelerating, and when times in a change in society is pretty static, like in a lot of traditional cultures, like a lot of like
Oh,
Aboriginal cultures. Like if you go to like the Sioux Indians or the Mohawk tribe or something like that, probably from generation to generation for a long time, there was very little change, and they probably weren't complaining about there weren't new songs, there weren't new movies, there weren't new dances. It was like the old stuff, and
like this
and
is
I
what
think,
we do, heavy on
yeah,
tradition.
heavy on tradition. And I think
I'd imagine.
I think that's actually the norm. And then when societies get really ramped up like ours is now, and everything's changing super fast, usually precipitating in a tremendous collapse or transformation.
Oh, that's
um
that's chipper.
yeah, no, that's
No, but yeah,
then you have a lot of
possibly.
generational change. I think that's what we're going through now. And that happened with the Romans, that happens with every great empire, with every great civilization before they fight it or transform radically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. It makes me think of this guy Ray Dalio. He does money. He's a I always forget the name of his hedge fund, but apparently he runs his hedge fund on an idea meritocracy, which I think is the way to go. They are
Mm-hmm.
brutal with their feedback. Like
Mm.
it's just straight up. We're going on a tangent here, folks, but like in a audiobook I was listening to, the CEO, so Ray Dalio, he's talking about this is an email that came up the chain from his subordinates about how he did during a presentation. And the person starts off by going, I give your presentation a D minus. And here's why. Like basically you talked too long, you blabbered on and blah blah blah, like all this stuff. And he was just like, okay. And then what do you think this CEO did with that feedback? Sent it to
Change stuff.
everybody. He's to
Wow.
show, here's the feedback that I got. Here's, what you do with that. to toe the fucking line. I mean, that's just one example. So, and they have an idea of meritocracy. Basically, they have rules of engagement. They do their best to operate on principles like radical honesty, transparency, integrity. You know, you do what you say. And then they also have like they don't care where an idea comes from if it's the idea they put to the test, not the person. So if the idea for some investment strategy comes from the janitor and it's a good one and it stands the tests, they have like rigorous tests, way to test these things, then they go with that. And it's like principled based thinking and principled based action, which I'm like, this is cool. This is fascinating. And their company
And this is for a hedge fund company?
Hedge fund, yeah. I gotta look. I want to get the name of the company right the first time. It's world's largest Bridgewater Associates, the world's largest hedge fund. But anyway, back to your point. He studies money and cycles of. He studied cycles, and he said there are telltale signs when a country is headed toward collapse. And like stuff when their currency gets devalued, when
check.
Yeah, and I can't remember what else.
I'll bet.
Let me see here. But I was just like, we might be headed for civil war. He said, like, he dug through all the history. He's historically, again and again and again. Let's see. I'm not trying to spread doom and gloom. Debt creation. When companies
got a lot of that.
When companies print money, check. We are not on the gold standard anymore. There's nothing. I mean, that's basically what it is. You're printing money as fiat money. Internal political conflicts, check. And great power struggles. That's like, yeah.
Yeah, and I would say there are other major things too. Loss of unifying identity around values, around shared cultural values, increased urbanization, declining birth rate, rapid immigration. All these things destabilize countries and states.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't want to be. I'm not proposing a doom and gloom scenario. Like I think I hear tell or imagine some people like, oh my God, doom and gloom. You know, we're headed toward collapse now. We might be. Okay, I'm just talking about the possibility of the reality of that, and I'm not trying to promote that. I'm just trying to promote, well, what is true. Do we have these things going on? Yes. Do we seem to be getting less stable? Seems to me. Which has me think that there are principles involved. Like, what are the principles involved? There are principles that create stability. And it seems like we all have to have an agreement base. Like, when apprentices come in, there's ground rules. When people come into a workshop, there's ground rules. The rules create the structure. The structure could be more or less powerful. But that's how that's created. Like, that's how we do that. We have a structure of laws. That's how we decided to do it in the US as best we can. And then we fit within the structure, and that can get destabilized, like any structure can have instability if it's not in alignment with something, it seems to me, which I think is interesting. So yeah. We might be we are not. I don't know if we're the United States that we were. It seems more divided.
No, but it's not just the U.S. You know, things are changing all around the world.
Yeah, and I do have my suspicions that why is this happening? I suspect China and Russia, but why is this happening?
I think the world is very complicated, and we don't see what all of the reasons are for the formation of a storm. And maybe, human behavior on a global or even a national level is even more difficult to see,
There are a
partially
lot of
because
factors. I
there are a
mean,
lot of factors, and also we're in it, so we're less objective.
yeah, and there's more factors. Like sometimes I think about this. There's more factors than what a human mind can handle
But not an
alone.
AI. And when we have like Chat
Oh boy.
GPT 4 Omni Turbo Rex, then that thing can just handle it all for us. That's right around the corner, so it'll be fine,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, everything will be fine.
What do you I think like I'm happy to just keep going. Did you have something you wanted to talk about specifically today?
Well, no, I didn't, but I think going back to the beginning of our conversation before we turned the camera on, um, we were checking in and John was asking me how I was doing, and I was talking about building,
Oh yeah.
and then I like talking about completing stuff and how fulfilling it feels to complete something. So it's like I look up on the rooftop balcony and I actually have like pretty much a complete balcony, and then what I wanted to say was that I but I notice all the flaws. Like there are many flaws that I don't know if somebody who just looked at it, an experienced builder who looked at it would probably start to pick these things out. But just somebody who's looking at it, they go, "Oh, that's nice." Or, "Oh,
Mm,
that's whatever." And so I was thinking about like cuz yesterday I was putting a piece of metal on the exterior to as a corner edge piece to finish it off, just to make it. It's called drip edge, so that the water can go and then drip out and not down the side of the
okay.
balcony there, something like that. And
Yeah.
it was in my mind what I wanted to share was in my mind I have this like perfect edge, but the reality is I have to cut metal, I have to bend it. If I bend it too much, it doesn't work. There's little factors. It was just up there, and then the wind blew the piece off the roof, and it hit the
Hmm.
ground and deformed a corner. And I was like, "Oh, they're fucking why didn't you see?" And then so I get it back, and then I try to hammer it back into place, but I do it wrong first. I got frustrated, stupid, and bent it a little more than it should have. So I had to take more time to put it back to as close as I could get it. And then because I've built this thing the first time, I can't. I on one side it's built slightly different than on the other side, so it's not symmetrical now. You see, and like so all that extra stuff, there are a million ways to fuck things up. There are a million
Mm.
variables. There are like so many things that can go wrong that I keep forgetting about as I'm building. Like
Mm.
that is the truth of learning.
Mm.
And I talked a little bit to Peter about it, just saying, "Yeah, I built this." He's like, "Yeah, so then the next time you do it, you'll be better." Because
Exactly.
it's like there's all these there's the and then like how do you that's what separates people who are good from people who aren't. They take these things into account, or they've been beaten up, or I'm not saying that the fucking construction beats you up, although sometimes maybe you fall off a roof or somebody beats you for not doing good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of stuff that can happen.
The school of hard knocks.
Yeah, and I
Experience.
don't know. I don't think you learn that without doing it.
Hmm.
And so then it's like, hey, go do that. Go out there, do it, because you'll fail and you'll find out all these little ways that things can possibly go wrong. And the idea is not to do any of those and only to do the thing. And there's just I'm just trying to get that across. That yeah, there are a million things in when building a house to think about, and then you have to think ahead because I have have like a layer on top of my roof that is going to protect it from the water. And then because the water was pooling in an area, because when we did the framing, we didn't pitch it enough because I didn't design it way back at the beginning to account for there's a floor and then it has to drop down because you need space for where the rooftop deck flooring is going to be. But if I had dropped it down a little more and then pitched it to the back even further, there would be no pooling. But that is done way at the beginning. And it is a year. I mean, if I had a team, it would be different. If I actually hired somebody, it'd be different. But it's years later. Now, the water is pooling. That should have been handled at the beginning. So this is why you hire an engineer. Because they do this shit.
Or you talk to one extensively.
Yeah. See, and then so like that's it seems to be another valuable thing is that thinking 10 steps ahead of where you're at. And so I'm learning this firsthand, and I'm fascinated by the reality that is, and that's sort of what I wanted to share with you. Is like,
Yeah, I wonder what all the domains are that your listeners could are involved in that
well,
demand skill.
sorry to not tell you, it's actually our listeners.
Oh, right. Okay.
You're part of this
Sorry,
too.
I sit corrected. What kind of domains? All right, well then I'm going to ask our listeners, what kind of domains are you involved in that demand skill and consciousness and foresight and planning and knowledge, et cetera, et cetera? Are you building a house? Are you working on your career? Are you raising a kid? Are you trying to master martial art or something else? What are you up to?
Yeah,
What are you doing? What's a specific thing that you like to do that you want to master? What are you doing? Tell us about it.
yeah. Tell us comments or send an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as you're talking, it probably um, anything anybody tries to master, you're gonna run into this type of stuff. There are details. I just know Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like I remember rolling with one of the top guys. I don't remember his name in Austin at 10th Planet,
Mm.
and he was when I go in there, I don't go crazy because that's just nuts. He was super light, but I could tell when he moved, he knew stuff. Like, oh, when you're passing, you put the foot here because when you pass, if you don't put something there, then they'll roll out. He knew all that. He could feel it. I was like, yes. See, there's like a precision of movement. It's like this is awesome.
Mm.
Anything's like that. I know we have a guy. I thought of a guy. He works security for the government, like some kind of government, like the FBI kind of shit. But he has to track down people, or I don't know. I may be screwing up your job, but I'm sure there's tons of details in that domain that make a difference. Just any domain. If you're gonna master something, you have to consider. I want to say the details.
Distinctions.
You have to
Lots
make
and
many,
lots of
many, many.
distinctions.
Yeah, tons of distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
And then
don't,
the
your
distinctions need to
job's gonna be crude.
become to the degree that your job or whatever it is demands moment to moment decision making. You've got to make it into a feeling. If it's
True.
something that's long processed, more played out, I imagine like it's the time span of the project
It,
matters.
yes. No, that's totally true. When I'm building, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like fighting, but I have a lot of time to make decisions.
Yeah, sort of like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
not like the woods attacking me, so it's not like fighting at all, but it's that same I
But
could
you
fuck
do,
up
but you
here.
do, you could fuck up here, and you do have the elements. You have the
Yeah.
rain, you have the humidity, you have the wind blowing shit off the roof.
Yeah.
It's you have that chaos element, and the
Yeah.
in a fighting art, the opponent's job is to introduce as much chaos as possible
Yeah.
to you to end your ability to continue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. Um, yeah, but we were checking in and then before, so I wanted to share that. Hit us in the comments. Let us know what's going on. We are nearing podcast number 40 at this point.
Wow.
We're 12 weeks away from being a year in, roughly,
Okay.
which is good.
We should commemorate with festivities.
We should. When we hit a year, we should do a. I don't know what we could do, but we could do something. But I wanted to. Oh, what's your timeline looking like this morning?
I'm good. I don't have any obligations for a few hours.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Um, you're talking about your lady and social anxiety. Can we say anything to serve people that have social anxiety?
Well, I was going to talk about standing naked in front of people. Which is a good way to, it helps. So we were talking about, my partner and she's got some shyness. Just say, I don't want to put any, well, I did say social anxiety. She'd probably say that too, but just shy, timidity.
Oh, actually, you know
And
what?
certain, what?
Does she watch these?
She might.
Would that be a problem, you sharing?
No, I don't think so.
You sure?
No.
Because
Yeah,
we
I
could,
think
all
it'll be
right,
fine.
well, we could just, let's just say pretend.
All right, so
Somebody you know.
okay.
I don't know. I just want to respect that. And
So I can talk about myself. So like, when I went to an enlightenment workshop, I went to two, contemplation intensives
yeah.
before I got who I was. And I contemplated who I was pretty much every day between those two. And I went through ups and downs and this and that. And I got who I was, I think it was the first or second, the last or the second to last day of the second intensive.
Yeah.
And I remember standing in. I remember my behavior changed.
Yeah.
And one of the things I noticed was I got out of the shower, and they're kind of like, at least they were then. I don't know how they are now. They were kind of public showers. I mean, you had individual showers, but then you get out and you're probably naked in front of somebody.
Well, no, we have curtains.
Yeah, we had curtains, but I don't remember
Are you
why. It
talking
was.
about being here for a
Yeah.
Same ones.
Okay.
And they have
Well,
curtains.
then,
It's private.
for whatever reason, I don't know. There were a bunch of European guys. For whatever reason, um, I had to walk between the shower and my towel or something, butt ass
Yeah.
naked, and I had zero self-consciousness about it. Like
No
it wasn't
shame.
there at all. And normally I would have some self-consciousnness,
Right.
some like, oh my God, I'm naked, in front
Right.
of other people, and that did not exist. And I didn't even notice it didn't exist until I put my clothes back on.
Yeah.
So that was a change. And I noticed some other things, like if I had to ask someone for a favor, I always felt like I had to give them something first before I could just ask, because
Hmm.
it was like this self-worth, self-value thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, one of the concepts, and this might be different for other people, I have no idea, but for me, that experience, or that insight, enlightenment experience, whatever you want to call it, but realizing, oh, here I am. Oh, I was found. I like to say, instead of I found myself, I like to say I was found.
Yeah.
Right? It feels more accurate. And kind of like, I was saved. No, but I don't know about that, but I was found. I'll tell you that right there. I was found. And it was like I was lost, and then I was found.
Yeah, I had
And
something like I'm finally home, and I've been
yeah,
here the whole time, and I forgot.
like that. Yeah. And so, yeah, that went away. Like, if I needed something, if I wanted to borrow somebody's laptop for a second to send an email, I would just ask, hey, would you mind if I borrow your laptop for a moment when you're
Yeah.
free with it? Whereas before, I would feel like I have to somehow weasel my way into asking.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And so I'm standing there naked. I'm like, well, here I am. Here you are. This is life, and boom, bada boom, and yeah, I'm just asking. Like, there's no problem there. So I think about the social anxiety and the fear, and then I did lots of other things afterwards, performance-based stuff, and doing things, for people on stage and this and that.
Yeah.
But which helped, because I did get confronted with some stuff later on, but it
Yeah.
was not that deep, holy shit, shaking in my boots, dread and self-consciousness that I think a lot of people get.
Right.
And it was all stuff that I could overcome, and I've been able to overcome again and again and again and again and again. If I notice that I have some shyness around something, I can take a look at it. I can see what it is. If I really want to talk to that person, do something, and there's something stopping me, I can look at that, figure out what it is pretty quickly, and then just go through it.
Yeah.
That's not a problem for me, and hasn't been for a long time. And that didn't happen until after I was found, until
From
after I
direct
got who I
consciousness.
was.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
this brings me to a point that I would it doesn't matter. Um a criticism that I have, that I view when I view the psychological domain, or when I hear about people that have been doing psychology, or I've been seeing a psychotherapist for like 20 years, or I've been seeing a psychotherapist for, like, in my mind, an ungodly amount of time. It is literally possible for the shit in your mind to change wholesale in an instant.
Mm.
How do I know? Because I've been there. How does John know? Because he's been there. It's like all of the fear, all of the anxiety, all of the stuff could go away instantly. And I think there's some idea embedded in the psychological world, embedded in therapy and this and that, that does not take that possibility, the reality of that possibility, into account. And it drives me bonkers. Okay, it doesn't actually drive me bonkers, but I'm like, promote that.
Yeah.
Why stick with the problem? Like, if John's saying all this anxiety, okay, I'm kind of talking to the audience. Yeah, I mean, if you're saying all the anxiety, bye, in an instant. What the fuck? We should be doing that. What? And then at the very minimum, that should be up front and center at the beginning of therapy. Hey, all this could change in an instant? That's possible. It is not widely
What's
shared.
required? What's required for that to happen? I mean, what's required for that to happen on a large scale? Like, how
Oh,
would
Jesus
that
Christ.
what would actually be required?
Good question. That's excellent, because yeah, why not? Why rag about it? Fucking do something about it, or at least promote a solution. Yeah. So let's see. I think it would have to be. Ooh. Ugh. I think Buckminster Fuller has a quote. You can, like, I'm gonna butcher this poor guy's quote. Buckminster Fuller. My mom really loves Buckminster Fuller, and he seems to be on top of some shit. Or was. I assume he's still. I don't know if he's alive or dead. It's easier to create something new than to war with the structure that is. Like, sometimes it's easier just to build a new one. So that's the start.
Mm.
There's a new idea that has to take root and grow. That can then people then can then choose. Do you want psychology, or do you want this other possibility? Because embedding this idea into the psychological may be a possibility, but based on my understanding of, that'd be like trying to add a new idea to Christianity or something like that. It's just probably not going to happen. There's too much momentum in a direction to really put something new into an existing structure. Now, and so then it would have to be education about, one, the possibility, And then 2, how do you get there? And then we'd have to make systems whereby people could, like if you're talking large scale, there has to be a system of education that would actually work for people that has to then be shared broadly. Then
Yeah.
then it could make a shift. So I
And
mean, yeah, go ahead.
well, I was thinking about that. I hadn't thought what you were just thought like it actually is. It might be better to just create another system rather than try to embed it in an existing system. And
Yeah.
what is Cheng Shen but another system? It's Cheng
Yeah.
Shen is a system. You could look at it that way. So, but even within Cheng Shen or anything else,
Oh, it's worse. The problem's
it's
worse.
worse. The problem's worse. I'm wondering
Because,
what you're thinking.
well, yeah, I was thinking, because then, even then, one of the challenges here, I'm going to back up a little bit, because
Okay.
as you were talking, one of the things I noticed is that as we're speaking, we are speaking about this possibility of having a sudden change of state that is like more lasting. That's, oh, I was anxious, that's gone. Huh.
Hmm.
Who the fuck knew that could happen? And then people will go, in my mind, I imagine people going, well, then I'll become directly conscious, and they make seeking direct consciousness about what happened after.
Yep.
You know,
And your results may vary.
yeah, and there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. And it occurred to me to tell people, I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think that the people, the teachers who teach, they are teaching from after the fact. And people, you have to go, what were those motherfuckers doing before they did that? Seek not to follow in the footsteps of the masters of old. Seek what they sought. We were not seeking, I'm imagining, correct me if I'm wrong, we weren't seeking to get enlightened to end our suffering, although that was probably a motivator in the background. We just wanted to know what's true.
I know for me, I just became really clear by the end of the first intensive that I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I didn't know who I was. And then by the end of the first intensive, I was like,
wait a minute.
Fuck. And it was eating at me. It was bothering me.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I know who I am? What the fuck? And nothing seemed to satisfy. No definition, no identity, no feeling seemed to satisfy this question. It was really bothering me.
So
And
let's go ahead.
so I was looking for who I am essentially to alleviate the not knowing who I am.
Right. And do you
And
see...
it wasn't to alleviate my anxiety or to get over a fear of dying or anything else. It was just that.
Yeah. And do you see how
And
different
it still took me
that
a long
is?
time.
That's so different from after the fact.
Yeah, I had no idea
This yeah.
if there would be benefit or not
No.
of
No.
any kind.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the benefit was like there was also some weird shit that sort of happened too, like I went through some things too for a little bit there. So but none of those really were me. They're not me, but they were things that occurred after, just like
Yeah.
things occurred before.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff happens before and stuff happens after. And then so that, and similar for me, it's like I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit. I was like, nope. I don't care about anything else. Just I want to know. And I know another guy's had some direct consciousness. Same for him. I just want to know. Ralston, I just want to know what's true. Ramana Maharshi, I don't know what the fuck he did, but he just laid down to die. Buddha was struck by death and just wanted to know what the fuck is going on here. You see how different that is than I want to get better? I want to not feel pain. No, it's just I just want to know. Now it just so happens that after, stuff can become clear.
It's enlightening.
It's
less heavy.
Yeah, there's freedom, but you see, then then again, this is a trap as far as I can tell. Then the people promoting the stuff were like, holy shit. After, oh my God, I was free and this and that and huge change of state. And now I can do shit I couldn't do before and blah, 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 blah. And everybody goes for that.
So there's conflating results with the truth. There's
Yes.
conflating benefits with the truth.
Yeah.
And this is a real problem because it's only natural for
We
almost
are
all of us,
built
almost all the time. We're built for
to
results. We're
look
not
for
built for the
value.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're made for it. So,
Yeah.
and no, there's nothing wrong with looking for value.
Mm-mm.
It's just not the same thing as looking for the truth.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
And even if you may find value in the truth, but you may not. You may not. You may find something anti-value. I don't know. The truth is the truth.
Yeah.
So it's hard to sell that, and it's hard to even communicate that to people.
Yeah.
And you can't sell the truth. All you're selling. I like what Peter does. He doesn't call it an enlightenment intensive like every other jack off. I'm kidding. He calls it a contemplation intensive because he's not selling your enlightenment. He's selling a structure that promotes your contemplation.
No, I never thought of that. That makes sense, and that's great.
It is. It's honest.
Yeah.
It's honest. It's true.
Yeah.
So, because you may get enlightened, you may not get enlightened. That's between you and you.
That's between you and God.
Yeah.
Which might be you, but we don't know.
But you don't know.
I know everybody perk up about that. Oh, yeah.
Is it God? Is it nothing? Is it you?
Yeah.
Is it word? Is it word? Is it this word? Is it that word?
Yeah.
But there's another one too for the psychology thing, and I think for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes sense to put it in the psychology domain, at least rationally, because it's got to do with, the psychology is supposed to be about you, and it is, but it's usually about the ideas or the concepts or the archetypes, something ephemeral, your trauma, your stories, your ephemeral thing that you have going on that you believe or that you feel or you assume or I think I said it, archetypes, dreams and so forth, like the unconscious, that, or it's about genetics.
What's
it's
it
hereditary.
that we're talking about? Sorry.
The problems, the anxiety, the various things that could be going on with you that you're not keen on. And it's approaching, I think most psychology approaches things from a pathological level. Most psychology looks at things as you're sick, there's something wrong, let's make you less sick, less wrong. And then they also do it like it's because of something innate to you, or it's either nature or nurture is where they go with it. It's nature or nurture. Nature, your DNA, your genetics, your this and that. Nurture everything else, and that's where we go. And I think for people to go with, well, what if it really lies with you? It takes at the very least some wisdom. Someone's got to have something going on, whether they call it an enlightenment experience or not, I don't know, but they've got to have some sense of agency on a personal level.
Yeah.
And they've got to recognize that you also have agency on a personal level, and it's getting you to recognize your agency. I'm calling it agency, your power, so to speak.
Yeah. We call that the principle of responsibility.
Being. Something along those lines, yeah.
And it's, I guess I don't know if this frustrates me or it's like, maybe it's dishonest. It is psychology in the sense that the assumption being it's not you that has you have the problem, but it's not you that caused it. And it's very convincing when somebody beats me up when I'm a young kid and I form my mind around this thing that I can't control. I still formed my mind around it. Now, what seems to be true about kids is they have no idea what they're doing with their mind. They don't know what their mind is, how their mind works, and what's even going on. They probably don't know who and what they are. And so there's all this automatic stuff that occurs. And
Mm.
yeah, just something. And I know that sounds radical. I bet what I'm saying sounds radical. You're like, whoa, you're so harsh. The kid, there's no way they could have controlled it. Of course they're going to be fucked up. It's like, yeah, they're going to be fucked up. I know. But in order to actually heal from that, it seems useful to recognize your job in that, or your, like, it's what I did with my mind in relationship to that thing, not what they did to my mind.
Mm.
Because what I get amped about is it's not honest, in the sense that I don't think psychology is telling the truth about mind.
Well,
And
okay, hold on, hold
like
on. I want to push back a little bit.
yeah.
Psychology doesn't exist. There are people who talk about this thing they called psychology,
Yeah.
and they write about it, and people listen to them. And people are either aware of who they are or they're not. They're aware of agency,
Yeah.
they're aware of responsibility, or they're not. And they're either coming from the place of, you know what, people can change, because people are people. People are who and what they are. And they
Yeah.
can't, or they're not. And if they're not, they're never going to try to communicate that to anyone.
What
And if they
communicate
are,
what? Sorry.
that somebody might be capable of dropping something from that is you know, something of their own creation that
Yeah.
seems like it comes from
External world,
outside of
outside of
them.
your control or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't ever promote that idea because they themselves are not conscious of it.
Right. So this, yeah, and yes. Yeah. So
And
then it
they can
seems,
use the word psychology, they could use religious words, they could use biological words, they could use other kinds of things,
yeah.
sociological stuff, whatever. You know, it was my family, it was the, you know, this I grew up in, that I grew up in, and they'll probably have good reasons
Of course. And the
for all of
reasons
it
help keep it locked in place, or
locked
keep
in
it.
place. And you can probably do stuff with those reasons, and there may even be utility in some of it.
Sure.
But
It
but they
functions for sure.
yeah, but they still won't offer what we're talking about. And I think that that's a necessary thing, is like the people who would be providing this, hey, you know what might do the trick, might,
Yeah. No
let's at least
guarantees.
start with this. How about you tell me who you are? Just tell me who you are. What if a psychiatrist or a psychologist sits down and just says, tell me who you are, and then the person starts talking, blah blah blah. Okay, thank you, tell me who you are. And just every
Oh
time they
shit.
come in, every time they come in, okay, who are you?
There apparently there is a branch of psychology called contemplative psychology,
Yeah.
I hear tell, which may have its roots in some of this type of thing. I'm not sure, but we have one of our students, one of my students, is studying it up in Colorado, or has studied it, I believe. John, if you're out there, let me know.
Not this John, that
No,
John.
his name's John. John Arnold. Yeah, so I guess I have my gripe. It's just ugh, I see power in what we're talking about, and I see the value in in communicating the possibility anyway, that the struggles, the anxiety, the fear, with understanding, it seems possible. Like a lifetime of struggle can go the fuck away. You don't need years of therapy. You don't need, and there's nothing wrong with therapy. Hey, if therapy's good for you and therapy helps you, good, go do it. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, I'm just trying to say, hey, if wouldn't you want a solution that was fast and effective? A lifetime of fear. Bye. You don't need to live that anymore.
Could be.
Could be.
Could
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Could be.
I said, wouldn't you want a solution?
Mm-hmm.
You see, I'm not saying that. I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm just saying. And then that, again, from a consciousness perspective, that's a byproduct. That's a potential byproduct. Like Peter was talking to apprentices last night. He's like, I don't care if you suffer or not. That's between you and what you got going on. We just want to get people conscious. What you do with that after the fact is up to you. And it just so happens, as far as I can tell, that if we get really conscious of the nature of our own minds, we get really conscious of what we're doing, we get really conscious of what we are, what's going on here, maybe in there you get conscious of the off button, as Peter said one time. You can see where the damn off switch is, and then just, oh, this horrible experience? No thanks. But that takes, as you said, wisdom. And it doesn't, I'm making connections now, so I'm just making some shit up. It doesn't, it does stand to reason that, people like Buddha and enlightened people, they've got something different going on up here. Why? Because they're not doing what other people are doing with their minds, and because they understand what's going on, as far as I can tell. And most people don't. So then again, it goes back to like get conscious. Which, come to a workshop. We do shit like that here.
Yeah, apparently it's what this whole podcast is about right
now. It is,
yeah.
this
this podcast has been a long advertisement for a workshop. Yeah, specifically the contemplation intensives.
Contemplation intensive. Then we also do an ending suffering workshop where people can come and work on that mind shit that they don't want to deal, that they don't like. In essence, that suffering stuff.
Do you think, the suffering, do you think that there's an element of asceticism or removing yourself from the world that is helpful? Like, the difference, one of the differences between, me, I know, and in Buddha, there's probably a deep and profound difference that goes a lot further than this, but he was an ascetic. He just kind of stood back from the world. He was like, nope, I'm not trying to do the family thing. I'm not trying to do the business thing. I'm not trying to wage a war. I'm not trying to do anything with the world. I'm not trying to change the world in any way.
Yeah,
I just
you talking
want
before, after?
Before, I suppose. I know he had a life and then he gave it up.
Yeah,
he gave it up to pursue the truth.
What I think right away is not necessarily asceticism, like following. I'm just making shit up here, just to be clear. Not like you need to follow an ascetic life. I see the functionality as get rid of distractions so you can focus. It's really hard to pay the fuck attention and to have a steady, constant attention on something that we are wired up to not look at for any period of time at all, when you got to handle money and you got to handle life and you got to handle do people like me and you got to handle blah, 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 blah. And now today, cell phones and TV and advertisements, and your attention constantly being people trying to pull your attention one way or another. So, I mean, I see the functionality, just get rid of distractions so you can focus. That's all. Not that you have to be ascetic. That's what I'm making up. And in this world, that's probably definitely the case. Because think about the amount of focus it takes for you to stay on you that long. We're like, you seen that goldfish movie?
No.
We're like Dory from Finding Nemo. Squirrel. I'm focused. I'm contemplating who I'm hungry. Do we have brownies?
You remind me of my kid.
Yeah,
It's
I want
like
to get a
that's-
motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're built for that. We're built
Yeah.
to have our attention go fucking everywhere. But
Mhm.
and in terms of lifestyle, yeah, again, it really doesn't matter. That's another thing I wanna rip people off of is, or I guess if yeah, it doesn't matter. The clothes that we wear don't matter. Like the status that I have or don't have doesn't matter in terms of becoming conscious. None of it matters. Like, what do? You bake bread. What do? I clean toilets for a living. What do? I'm a top level CEO. What
Mhm.
do? You wear spiritual clothes
I'm a
that make
monk.
you. I'm a monk. Oh yeah, see there you go. Perfect. Well, I'm a monk. I wear orange clothes and have beads. It's like, I got news for you people. The clothes don't fucking matter. But so many people think it does. I think. I mean, I try to dress decent. Okay, good enough. It'd be better if I was wearing like, why do you think I wear a button down shirt on purpose in my other videos? I'm like, I want to promote professionalism. Why? Well, you don't take me as seriously as if I showed up wearing a death metal hat and like a fucking fake beard. Something. Promoting consciousness. You wouldn't fucking listen to me, or a pink suit.
or orange robes and beads.
Orange robes and beads.
Maybe.
If I wore orange robes and beads, maybe put a little bindi here, did some incense, and man, you'd listen to me differently. If you had a spiritual bent, especially.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to you differently.
Right. But I mean, see, but now we have Chang Shin trained people. They'd be like, "What the fuck is that bullshit?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're my people. Yeah." Fucking
I don't
call
even
it out.
care. I don't even care. I don't think. Do I care? I don't think I do. I guess I tend to assume that if people are wearing spirituals, I don't even know. I don't know. Eh, I don't know. I think there's a good
Like, just
chance
look
that
at Sadguru, right? And he's got a whole image. Bro, wear normal clothes and cut your fucking beard.
hmm, I don't even know who these people are.
Oh, he's a big, huge. I'm criticizing Sadguru. I'm going to criticize Sadguru just for funsies. One,
In
I don't
case
think he.
anyone wasn't clear, Sadguru is being
I
criticized
don't think he
as
had.
of now.
Yeah. I don't know what he had, but I don't think he had an enlightenment experience because he talks about it. I listened to his video of him talking about it. He had a radical change of state that lasted a long time.
Hmm.
Not a direct consciousness. What he
Was
was
it
talking
cool?
about.
Was it groovy? Did he have some like?
He
Did he go
said
to
he
other
went in and
dimensions and
out of
stuff?
consciousness for like a week and he was crying and he said he like woke up and then people were just surrounding him.
Okay,
I don't know.
that's
Something
trippy.
happened. Yeah. But yeah. And then whole image, millions of followers. Now he does say some wise stuff, right? But I think anybody can learn that stuff. Just read the old books and then parrot that and you're good to go. And I probably will delete this because this is just stupid. But shave your fucking beard, bro. Then see, do people take you? No, they probably wouldn't take him seriously. Shave your beard, wear a suit.
Hmm.
And what's he selling on his website? Like you go to his website, stones that will balance the energy in your house.
Hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He sells the shit out of those, I bet.
I had an experience once. I went to a Vipassana
Mm.
thing. I'm just I think maybe there's something to that stone bullshit, but it's very subtle.
God.
And here's why. I'm not discounting. I don't know who
Yeah, it's
Sadhguru
okay.
is or whatever. I have no idea.
I don't know Sadhguru either. I
all,
just poked
all,
around a little bit.
all I know is this. I went to a Vipassana thing. I did like 11 days or whatever. And then I come out and I'm all been meditating for 11 days. I'm very sensitive and chill, right? is focused mind. And
Yeah.
I remember I saw somebody had left a display of a bunch of stones on a table, and I looked at them, and the first thought that came into my mind was, energy.
Hmm.
That's all it was. And it was just like, oh yeah, this has this vibration, that vibration, this. It's just like I didn't have a story about it, but it was just like, oh, just different kinds of energy. I don't know why. So, but then I don't collect stones and put them in my house. I don't
Yeah.
give a damn. And it's sort of like the way I feel about what do you call that? When you distill the essence of a component of a compound down to almost nothing, and then you call it medicine, but it's water. It's water with it doesn't even have the original trace compound in it anymore. What do they call that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Distilling. Sorry, I'm confused. I'm on Sadguru's website. Natural body care products, Ayurvedic, health and wellness in your hands. Here you go. I'll get back. Okay. Natural Ayurvedic castor oil, $12. $60 for Ayurvedic body care. Herbal toothpaste, $8. Shea butter,
Jesus
$5.50.
Christ.
Now here's a consecrated jivarasam. If you hold the water you drink with gratitude and reverence, health and equanimity will be a natural consequence. It's a stone with a cobra head with a candle. How to use: submerge in copper pot, filled with drinking water, store overnight. It's a stone that you put in water, and it's $110.
Hmm.
Like that kind
Well,
of shit.
it sounds like a good way to make money.
Oh, he's making a fuck ton of money. A Sadguru photo, natural, $70. A brass Devi panel.
Wow.
Brass Devi panel. It's consecrated. Embrace the linga. It's a lingam bavari with this brass Devi panel. Its captivating depiction irradiates her vibrant energy in splendid red, symbolizing her absolute vibrance and exuberance. Consecrated at her divine sanctum, this panel is specifically crafted to make her, with a capital H, grace available to you. The elegant wooden frame holds intricately engraved Devi yantra and Sarpa motifs, which serve to amplify your sense of devotion to her. A simple offering of a lamp and a fragrant flower before the sacred panel is all it takes to invite the profound grace of the Devi, capital D, into your life. It's 6.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Cost? Take a guess.
$300. Oh
$1,111.
God. Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
Okay. So
Ah.
but then again, it just occurred to me that I think Sadguru is going for what's true. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
You, he's selling a 6.5 by 8.5 inch panel that is all devoted to a belief system that if you put this thing in your house and you make an offering, then you're going to invite devotion of her with a capital H into your life for $1,000 fucking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's
So
it's
yeah,
annoying.
yeah. So I have an assumption there. I don't know what Sadhguru's about, but it sure as hell ain't the truth. That's what I could say.
Okay. Yep. Well, people can do as they like, I suppose. The thing I was looking for was homeopathy. homeopathy, the system based on the principle of like cures like, where you dilute a substance to the point that it's no longer even in the water that it's been diluted in, and then people ingest that or put it on their bodies in some way, and supposedly it heals them. And a lot of people believe in this
Like
stuff.
essential oils?
That's a different thing.
Oh.
But
Quick
yeah, it's
aside.
people pay a lot of money for that. It's a big deal. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Quick aside. So apparently, uh, somebody was like, "Yeah, if you want to make money, start a religion."
Mm.
And you know who said that? Well, apparently,
Um,
allegedly,
I know a guy who said that.
L.
Probably
Ron
this other guy.
L. Ron Hubbard,
Oh, cool.
the fucking douche canoe that started Scientology.
Well, no, he was right, and then he did it, and then he proved it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to make money? Start a religion. People want to believe shit, big time.
Oh my God.
So anyway, homeopathy. What?
Oh,
What is this distilling? I don't
I don't
understand.
even care. Like, it doesn't even matter.
No, I'm
It's
more curious on what is this distilling down thing
they
that you're
they
talking
they
about?
they
What do they do?
take.
I
I
kept
don't
not
remember the
listening.
process. I used to read about it a little bit. They take a substance, and it's based on the idea that everything has a vibration, or everything has like an energy signature or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I thought when I not what I
When you
believed, but
saw the
was that when
stones.
I thought, I saw the stones, and the thought came into my mind, energy. And it was just like that. It was just a simple kind of recognition, and then I moved on. I didn't buy a stone. I just moved on.
Yeah.
It was kind of a just mildly pleasant energy. Um, and I think the homeopathy is the same idea. You have a substance and you distill it down, but you leave the energy. The physical gross matter is gone, but the energy is there. The essence is there.
How do you do that?
Uh,
I mean, you take all the physical matter?
yeah, I think it's a process. It's a rinse and repeat process where they distill a solution, and then they take that solution and then they put it in more, and they distill it, and they put that in more, and they distill it. They just until it's gone,
By
essentially.
administering substances that mimic the symptoms of those diseases in healthy people.
Yeah, that's another, but but at
Stimulate the
incredibly
healing.
small doses.
What? I am. They use poison ivy, deadly nightshade.
In incredibly small, almost non-existent doses.
Okay, so they. All right. So they like stake. They try to. I still don't understand. They try to stimulate healing by giving you bad shit to stimulate the body in the same way to get you to heal yourself.
Yes, but at an incredibly small, almost non-existent, or maybe non-existent level.
Yeah, hopefully, if it's deadly nightshade.
Exactly.
Well, that's funny. Peter was talking about a study last night with apprentices. We have apprentices here. He was saying they did some study where they had, a lot of people, same symptoms, control group, scientific study. That it was acupuncture, then Western medicine, and then people who didn't know acupuncture but just stuck random needles in people at random places, because in acupuncture is the whole thing about you have to hit the meridian and da 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 da. Apparently, acupuncture outperformed Western medicine in this case, and random needle sticking performed as well as acupuncture.
That's awesome.
So,
At
as
what?
Peter
At
said, apparently,
alleviating what or changing what?
I don't know what it was. I don't know
Okay.
what it was. So, and then as Peter said, is apparently just sticking needles in people helps them get better. You're sick here. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, fine. Fuck. I'll get better. See, again, it's I feel like in my world, there's a war on bullshit.
Mm.
And so I think that adds a little bit of fuel, or I really, of course I'm Ralston trained of taking that on a bit. It's very straight, like boom. Just like, and other crap is just, no, it's such crap. And I suppose, yeah, on the flip side, people can do what they want, of course. You know, if you want the truth, though, you got to get what's true. And bullshit will get revealed, and you have to be honest. Like you can't call something it's not. You can't think something is not that, because it's not true.
Maybe something helpful here. I started contemplating who I was because Peter told me to. Um,
Me too. I did not give a flying
I
fuck
was
about any of
not
this stuff.
interested.
I didn't care. Yeah, I
I
didn't give
wanted
a
to learn to fight like he did. I
Yeah.
wanted to learn to fight like he did. I wasn't interested in anything about the consciousness work
Me
at
neither,
all.
dude. Not at all. None.
Um, and but he said you have to do this and this and this. And then at the apprenticeship, I had to do a whole bunch more.
Yeah.
So, and that, so you can contemplate the truth of what you are, and
Yeah.
you don't have to want to. You
No.
can just start doing it.
Yeah.
And you can do that based off of, you can do that based off of, you know what, these guys, I don't know, John and Brendan and Peter, they say it's a good idea. I think they're probably, I don't know why they say it's a good idea, and I don't care. I just want to learn to do what Peter does. I want to learn to do what Brendan does, whatever. And you can just start doing it because you just hear tell it's a good idea.
Yeah.
That can start you out. Like, that's not,
You
I'm
don't
not
need.
going to
Yeah.
poo-poo that, as you say, poo-poo it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just go ahead and start, and you may realize that you think you know, or you thought you knew, and you may come to find that you're not as sure as you thought you were. Something along
Yeah.
those lines might happen,
Yeah.
and then maybe, just maybe, you'll start finding your own motivations for staying
With
with
it.
this question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so. Yeah.
Because
It
how do
seems
people
so.
get started when they see no utility? The truth is, I saw utility. I wanted to learn how to box like Peter, and he was
Yeah.
telling me I had to do the fucking contemplation. So I'm not going to continue to get to box unless I do the contemplation.
Right.
So there was utility. And
Yeah.
then while you're contemplating, you can either fake contemplating, but that sucks. So you might as
Oh
well,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
That's
you might as
terrible.
well actually do it,
Yeah.
because at
Fuck
least
it.
that doesn't suck as much. And you know
Yeah.
that you do know.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I know. I know. Fucking A. Yeah, that's interesting. Because a lot of the guys, we do consciousness apprenticeships now, and so they're coming for consciousness work. I almost think it's better. Well, no, I don't know. I can't say. I can't say. I like my approach better
mm,
because I didn't want it and I didn't care. And then stuff started to happen when I did it. And then I said, wait a minute,
mm,
this shit's awesome. Like this is the good shit.
mm.
And yeah, and then to your point where you're like, yeah, I didn't. You might think you know who you are. It reminds me. Did you ever meet Kevin? You must have met Kevin McGee
Yeah, of
somewhere in here.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. He was with us, right?
Kevin's big barrel of Guinness.
That's right. When you're doing that V stretch, you dump out the Guinness. Uh, oh, fucking love Kevin. What? Oh, he said he had a friend in Japan, Miles, who, like, when Kevin did his first contemplation intensive, he came back and he was trying to tell Miles. I think I have maybe Miles, should be Miles. Kevin is like, I don't know who I am. And Miles is like, what? What do you mean you don't know who you are? Like, it's obvious, like, who you are. And then Miles did a contemplation intensive and came back to Kevin. He's like, oh, now I see why you say you don't know who you are. Like, yeah, you want to do that? Come to a contemplation intensive. Try to get who you are directly. And after a week of that, you'll either know who you are or you'll know that you really don't have no fucking idea.
I'd love to say that's true, but I imagine that there are some people who come out the other side of a contemplation intensive. Yeah, if they're not being honest with themselves,
right? You see,
they might go deeper into some delusion. In fact, to be honest with you, I think I've seen it, and I've had a
I've
lot
seen
less
shit like that.
experience than
I've
you.
seen shit like that. Yeah.
I think you've got to. I think the prerequisite is, be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest and be honest. Be real and go for it.
Yeah, that is the thing to do, really, because it doesn't ultimately matter. I try to tell people this in the contemplations. No, I do tell them, like, look, it's not at the end of the day, if you didn't have a teacher, if you didn't have the environment you're in, you didn't have any spiritual anything, no beliefs, no nothing, you got nothing, still, who are you? The first person to get enlightened didn't have a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do that just to mess with people's minds, because they're like, wait, or I go, there's an ashram. It's just, what do? You get where could you possibly go to get enlightened or to become directly conscious? It's like, there's an ashram on Pluto that if you go there,
yeah,
then you'll get enlightened. But you have to go there. But then the thing is, when you get there, you're still gonna be you on Pluto, and you still won't know. You'll be left with a different experience, but that's it. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, and the first person to get enlightened probably wasn't born of a virgin, didn't descend from heaven, was probably not we have no idea what the circumstances of that person's life was, or how that person articulated whatever that enlightenment was,
or if they
at
even
all,
knew. Yeah.
or if they even had language to say anything. I'm fairly convinced that there are a lot of people walking around who know exactly who they are and don't have any real language to describe it, except for I'm who I am.
Shit. Yeah.
And they never went to any special spiritual anything.
Yeah. We have a guy who comes in, who's come in a few times. I mean, I don't know what occurred for him, but he said he had zero, like nothing, no spiritual anything, and shit happened. And stuff would be going on for him.
So what is what I take away from that is be open, be honest, and be open.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what consciousness is, what your consciousness you're capable of.
Yeah.
You don't know, and your past experiences and your beliefs may have zero to do with becoming conscious now.
Yeah. And all this stuff that that I don't think I could say it better.
Okay, it's our podcast. All right.
And done. Cool. Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you at some point, maybe we could do it now or do it another time, is I was wondering if you could help me come up with, I've been listening to this guy Alex Hormozy, business guy. What are people's dream outcomes when they do workshops? And what is the actual value that a workshop gives? Like, we could use your sales brain. Because people don't, like, what I want to come up with is a way of communicating about that then people would go, oh, that's something I would want to try, but not in a chintzy way, but in an authentic and real way, but thinking about it differently rather than like, here's what we do. Yeah, that's clear. That's obvious. I could tell you all about that. But what do people actually get? What is the actual value?
Value, as you well know, is something that individuals ascribe to other things.
Yeah.
So people have value that they put on their experiences and the outcomes in their life.
Yeah.
So that's truly it's up to the individual what they value, how much they value anything.
True.
And for things that are non-objective, like dropping fears, anxieties, becoming more free, there's no physical thing to hang on to.
Right.
Now, if you teach a workshop and, you know, 90% of your students are making, 100% more money by the end of the year,
Right. That's measurable.
after that's measurable, and
Yeah.
people are still going to ascribe value to that or not.
Yeah.
So there's things that we can measure, and there are things that are immeasurable, or more
Yeah.
difficult to measure.
Yeah.
That's just where my mind first goes with that question.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Maybe we could talk a little more about that because I'm working on a way of communicating, and I guess this podcast does blend right into that because, like, what we talk about, I am steeped in the work that I do, and our conversations are naturally going to flow in those directions. And then, of course, I put in many invitations like, hey, come do a workshop because they fucking kick ass. But kick ass at what? And then I guess it does occur to me, well, to whom am I speaking? Because if I'm talking to,
Well, I think the question I asked earlier could be extended. If you're listening to this podcast, what what domain are you looking at? Are you looking at getting better at martial arts? Are
here we
you
go.
looking at getting better at being uh, present in your relationships? Do you want more freedom internally in your own experience? Are you afraid? Do you feel scared of other people or yourself or something like that? Do you suffer from, problems? What are they that you're working on? What do you want to master? What do you want to drop? What do you want to be free from? What kind of power
Yeah.
are you looking for in your life? And then if you are looking for the truth, who you are, what you are, what life is, or what any of this is,
And or what any relative thing is.
talk about that too. And that's just an invitation for anyone who's listening to share, because this is what this is about.
Yeah. And it occurred to me, yeah, please share. And then it occurred to me that in this consideration that the value is in not so much what you get out of it, but in the approach, the looking into things, what we call contemplation, but wanting to know what's true about stuff is incredibly, at the end of the day, it's incredibly powerful. Because then when I say I don't know, if you have fear and anxiety, we would look into what fear actually is, how it's created, what goes on there. And once you understand what goes on there, likely you will have some facility in ending it. But we don't go at it for that purpose, but it's the approach, it's the looking into. That's the value, I think.
Well, that's I wanted to ask you what
And
is, I don't know
learning
if
how
that's
to
the
do that.
value, because people can value that or not give a fuck. But what is the power?
The power of that.
I think the power of what you do is you provide your integrity, with your integrity, which is solid.
Yeah.
Okay. You provide with your integrity the best structure, agreements for a prolonged honest, thorough, open investigation of things that are absolute or relative, but they make up a person or what we call a person.
Yeah. Or
You do that,
reality or
and
experience or
and
whatever.
you and you're not alone. Peter does that, and other apprentices have done that, and it's something that is provided, and that I think that's the power of it. And then you enroll people in doing that because you cannot do it alone. Other, the people that come do it together with you. They
Yeah.
participate in that structure, and you create something that is greater than the sum of its parts. It's a shared collective enterprise. It's an endeavor,
Yeah.
like embarking on a ship at sea into the unknown, but you've got the ship, okay, and you are the captain. You do have your hands on the wheel, but everybody's you don't know, there are no free rides. It's everyone joins the crew.
Yeah.
That's I think the power of it. The value, every crew member is going to
Yeah, they
find
make
that for
up their own.
themselves.
Yeah, and they all every crew member in this analogy has to find out for themselves, and that's part of the challenge for sure, because it's like it's a
Mhm.
solo ride, but you're on a team and you have
Yeah.
support. So I guess the power is also in the support that
Yeah,
typically
I
makes up.
trust people will find plenty of value.
Yeah,
Plenty of value. If you're listening to this, talk about what you value.
yeah,
It's not for us to ascribe value to your experiences, to your insights, to your struggles, to your enlightenment or lack thereof. It's not for us to do that. But tell us about it. It's fun. It's cool. We can tell you about ours.
yeah, yeah. Let us know. Sweet.
Yeah.
On that note, you're invited to come to a workshop. Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, that's it. See you later.